What's up, YouTube? Um, my name's Alan. I am a RCA at the USPS. I'm making this YouTube video in regards to just kind of giving out the hiring process and the difference between RCA and CCA. So just to kind of start this right off. Um, there's not a lot of information on the whole hiring process for becoming, a CCA or which a CCA is City Carrier Assistant, or RCA is a Rural Carrier Assistant. But just to kind of go through the hiring process, how mine went and how yours might go. I just want to give you guys as much information and just pass it along. So there's not too many videos, but um, just for two other YouTubers that I do watch and they do give a lot of information. I'll put a link in the bio. They helped a lot. Is JH and Mailman Mike Chong. And check out their videos. They have a bunch of information. But let's go ahead and start with this. The USPS hiring process. So the first thing that when you are starting, they're gonna have you do is you'll go into the website. You'll set up all your information, where you live, your location, your date of birth, and all this other stuff. The one thing that they'll have you do right off the back after you get that all set up is an assessment. So the assessment is basically kind of saying answer questions and how you handle to certain situations, right? Like in life, or in everyday type of situation that's going to happen, whether you're a carrier or you're not a carrier. They just want to see how you handle certain situations. So that'll be the number one thing when you're doing you're putting in your application before you'll start with the assessment. So after that, you'll get the assessment. I have heard stories where people they'll do the assessment and they do not qualify, because I believe I may have to look up this information, but you have to get over 80 on your score. And so after you're done with your assessment, you can actually check your score. If you want information on that, I'll have to make another video just to kind of show you. But I believe my score was 90. So the score doesn't really matter. The score just kind of says they put you at a placement of where you range from. There's people that brag about this score, 80, 90, 99, 95, 90, 85, whatever. As long as you're above that 80, you qualify. I want to say it's 80, but it may be 79 if I'm not too sure. The next thing, so you'll get that assessment. It's I believe it's the 4073 or 473. After that, you'll place that in. You're done, you're good, and it'll basically say, hey, these are the jobs you could apply for. So you'll go throughout the list. Once you get through that list, you can see there's in your area, wherever you live, or the state, they'll have, and the city also, opportunities for you for RCA, which is the rural carrier, and CCA, which is City Carrier Assistant. That's what I'm mostly going to be talking about, because right now I am currently a RCA, and I'm just going to I'll give a little bit a touch of background, but with this video we're just doing most of the hiring process and my situation, how it turned out for me. So once you do that, you apply for the job. I applied for the RCA job. I put in my application. Boom, I'm done, right? But I did put in quite a few applications. I believe I put in maybe 3 to 5 applications. So I did put in the first 2 here locally where I live, and I did place those applications, and then I'll tell you how to kind of watch for where you're basically at. So you'll basically watch, it'll tell you once you put it in, the status. you'll go to your website and you can put in my applications. There's a little link on top, and then from there you'll click on it. You put whatever your applications you put. There's a little thing that says my status. It'll say application entry. That is the first step of knowing where you're at. So my situation, man, it took a while. But for me to get hired for this job that I'm currently at, it took 4 months. I want to say 4 months. I put it in July, and so now it is. I started November. November. I did start in November 7th was the day I started. So I'm still fairly new. I just want to give you guys this information. But the 2 applications previously that I had placed in, I did get to the next steps, which I'll be telling you how those steps go. But so you put the application, your status application entry, right? And then from there, you kind of want to continue monitoring it, just kind of checking where you're at on regards to your status. But from my experience, it does tell you once you put in your application, basically keep your job that you're currently at. You know, don't try to say that you think you're guaranteed. Nope. So it is a long, strenuous process. Let's just put it like that. It just takes a long time. And I've heard other YouTubers also that they said, no, my situation, it took 2 to 4 weeks. It took, 2 weeks, whatever. It took 2 months. And then a lot of people that I actually was with, they're all, hey, I was in the same boat as you, 3 to 4 months. And I'm like, okay. So I guess it kind of depends on the area and the district you're kind of working. So that's the first thing as for the application entry on your status. So you want to keep going back into the website, every week or so, and just checking the status, seeing where it's at. So if you get past all that, the next step that you'll be is on the hiring list. So the status will be there. No longer will it say application entry. It'll now say the hiring list. From there, it'll basically tell you that you're now considered one of the applicants to be, considered a full-on to get the job. I'm not too sure how many applicants they really choose. It may be 1 out of 5, 1 out of 20, because what I think, the way they do it, they'll put one position as a RCA if it's in your local area or the station wherever you're applying at. Excuse me. And from there, they will go ahead and say, oh, okay, this person fits in this criteria. We'll give them onto the hiring list. And from the hiring list, I want to believe that they're actually hiring for whatever that city or that town, multiple positions. So if it's 20 people, they'll say, hey, we want to hire 5 of these people. Let's see who. And it kind of actually maybe go in order, but I'm not too sure, or you may qualify. But after that, you'll be in that hiring list. That for my situation, it took forever. I was in the application entry, and then I was in the hiring list. I was in the application entry probably for 2 weeks, and then once I got past that, the rest of the time I was in the hiring list. So you can see that took up to maybe almost a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months. And then so that was it. So it took a long time. And then from there, after you get past that, you're on the hiring list, and you continue to monitor your status, going onto the website. You'll go ahead and see on the status, you check it again. Now it may change to offer phase. So this is where you want to be. Offer phase is the phase where it's basically saying it's a go. I want to say 90%, even JH, the video that I had watched, he said even, I think he said up 95%, 99% or something, that most likely you are going to be hired on, right? and then from there, you're just kind of like, now it's, due process, just waiting on the whole system to work, and it's a slow grind. I can tell you that, slow grind. It just takes it takes forever. um, and then after you get through the offer phase, within a week or two, you should be getting a email. And from that email, it's basically gonna say, "Hey, congratulations, um, that you got considered. Yeah, you're considered for the job." And they'll send you a link, basically saying, "Hey, do you want this job? Do you want to accept it? Yes or no?" Um, Depending on your situation, because in my situation, I was unemployed due to this pandemic, so it was kind of like, I was in a waiting waiting game, um, for this whole time. And I finally did, I got this offer phase, and I finally accepted the job right away when they had sent me that email. After you get that email, you accept it, you should get, I want to say, two more emails, two or three. And the next one is actually, about your fingerprints and your drug screening. And that after that, which they do it's pretty thorough background check, um, and your fingerprints, and that has to go through. And then the next step is orientation for whatever position you had applied for. You'll go through the orientation. It'll say, "Hey, these are the date. This is the date that we will need you at this particular place." They'll give you address and everything, and you'll go ahead and do that next step, the orientation. Which you do the orientation. After you do the orientation, it's basically, I want to say it's 1 to 2 days, and depending, I don't know, depending on your area and how big your class is. But with this COVID, I think with our COVID, there was like a bunch of like protocols that they were saying, "Hey, there's no more than 10 people," or something like that. From that point, you'll go through the offer phase, or the orientation, excuse me, and you will next now be in the academy. The academy is, I could do another video, but just to make a quick summary of the academy, it's a week's worth, for the rural carrier academy I've went through. It's a week's worth of just the information that, as a rural carrier, what you'll be doing, and some of the duties that you're going to be handling. And then they do teach you how to drive a LLV, which is just one of the mail cars. Then yeah, you basically have that training up to that week, and it's pretty smooth for the most part. Once you get through all that whole process, you're good, Now, just to kind of give you guys a little bit more of insight on RCA and CCA, I can make another video. Just hit me up with some comments if you do want some more information. But right now, I'm actually going to be in the transition of the RCA to CCA, and I will tell you guys a little bit more on that if you guys just want to know a little bit information. But just a quick, to sum it up, the RCA, you're a rural carrier, so you kind of hit the rural. You're not. So we'll say you're in Pittsburgh, Oakland, whatever. You're in those locations. If you're a rural carrier, you're more on the outside of the city. So you're just hitting all the locations, and your station's considered a little bit maybe outside. Compared to a city carrier, you're going to be in the city, and also, if you're like in a smaller town, we'll say somewhere like in Montana, you, as a rural carrier, you may have to use your own POV. POV is personal owned vehicle. You'll have to use your own vehicle, but as a city carrier, you'll be using a LLV. And city carrier and rural carrier. City carrier, you're doing more walking, or a combo of walking and using your LLV. As to a rural carrier, you're just using your personal owned vehicle. and yeah, right now I'm in the holiday season. I'm just trying to keep a lot of the veterans that I work with, whether they're RCA, CCA, they're just saying, hey, handle it, make it through the holiday season, and you'll be all right. Just kind of keep afloat, and they do send a lot of help. But yeah, this is my first video. I just wanted to kind of give you guys as much information as I could in my hiring process. Let me know how your hiring process went. Just hit me up in the comments. And like I said, I'll put a link to JH. He had tons of information, on the video, and he has a different position. And then mailman Mike Chong, he also has a perspective all from the city carrier, and actually his videos are great also. So just this is my situation and what I went through, my process. It was a little bit of a stretch, and but man, just hang in there. Don't give up. If you really, you're considered a government employee once you get hired, just kind of keep at it. But yeah, just hit me up in the comments if you guys want to know any more information. I'm gonna try to make this a little series and just kind of keep going with the whole process of how the USPS, the hiring process, and just every day what I'm learning on the job, and I could give you guys some more insight on the RCA versus the CCA. Which one you rather choose. Yeah, just hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and just let me know. All right, peace.